Hello and welcome to the Jank Tank, a weekly series where we build questionable decks and play questionable cards. Today is a deck I have been tinkering on and off for a little while, built to abuse the card advantage and tempo of Call of the Death Dweller. The theme for this deck is a bunch of creatures that deal damage when they leave play. So we are going to play a bunch of small creatures, attack with them if possible, and then kill our opponent by having them either get in for damage or get blocked and killed. So what we're going to do, obviously, is we're running Bastion of Remembrance. This is a black enchantment. It creates a 1/1, and whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So right off the bat, any of our creatures are going to steal 1 life. Then we're going to play Serrated Scorpion. This is 2 damage when it dies. We've got Torchlight Fiend, which is 1 damage to any target when it dies. We've got Tybalt's Rager, which is a pumpable creature that deals 1 damage to any target when it dies. So if they don't block this, then we can get 3 or even 5 damage in with it. We've got Dreadhorde Butcher, hasty 1/1, but when it deals damage to the opponent, you put a 1/1 counter on it, and when it dies, it deals damage to any target equal to its power. So this is not just 1 damage, it's potentially a lot more than 1 damage. We got Kroxa. This is a bit of an oddball out. He can deal damage, but it's kind of a good value card in these colors. I wouldn't blame anyone for taking this card out of the deck and putting in something else instead. It's probably one of the recommendations I'll make at the end of the video, but I like playing with him. I think he's really strong on his own, so this doesn't deal damage to the opponent when it dies, but it potentially will deal damage if they don't discard a non-land card. And he comes back at the end of the game to haunt you, so if you're playing a bunch of 1/1s at your opponent and they just kill them all, Crooks is a good way to come back from that and extend into the late game. And then finally, the card that makes all this combo work, Call of the Death Dweller. After you end up losing 2 Serrated Scorpions or something, Call of the Death Dweller puts 2 creature cards, convert them into cost 3 or less, right back into play, and you put a Death Touch or a Menace counter on either of them. So this helps you recover and stay in the game. It's probably the strongest card in this deck for the way this deck is constructed. What this does is not only gets you more life pings as your creatures die, but it combos really strongly with Tybalt's Rager and Dreadhorde Butcher, because if you put either of them into play with a Menace and a Death Touch counter, it's tremendous card value, and they have to give it to you. Because if they don't start blocking, you're going to get in for incredible amounts of damage. Basically, Tybalt's Rager with a Menace counter on it means that they have to double block, and you have the opportunity to pump it up to a 5 power creature and, trade with any of them. But also, with Death Touch, it means that you're going to deal 1 damage to each of their defenders, and then deal 1 damage to any target, and that will still have Death Touch on it. So this will kill 3 creatures on the board if it's got a Menace and a Death Touch counter. And if they don't choose to make that trade and just let you attack, you're dealing 3 or 5 damage to their face, which is not really sustainable with the way the deck is built, because all of our creatures will deal damage. Same with Dreadhorde Butcher. If you don't block Dreadhorde Butcher, it's going to grow every turn. It's not quite as explosive as the Rager is, but it gets bigger and bigger. And again, if they do block it, it's got Menace. They have to commit 2 creatures. You're killing both of them and Death Touching off. This one doesn't kill both as easily because it's only got 1 power. So if you can't get in for 1 damage first to grow it to a 2/2, then you're probably not getting 3 creatures. But it's still 1 damage Death Touch kills its blocker and pings somewhere else for 1 mana, or for 1 damage. Footlight Fiend, same issue with the Death Touch. If you put Death Touch on a Footlight Fiend, when it dies, it will not only kill the creature it was blocked or blocking, but deal 1 damage to any other creature. So Call of the Death Dweller is really effective with this Death Touch counter. We've also got Light Up the Stage and Skewer the Critics. Because we're getting damage in so consistently, we can afford to run these efficient cards. Light Up the Stage helps you fuel more lands and put more damage-dealing creatures into play. Skewer the Critics is dual purpose. It can get rid of annoying lifelinkers, or just go straight to their face to help finish them off. I've got 2 revivals in here. This is also one of those iffy cards, but 2 mana to put any of your creatures back into play is just really flexible. I really wanted to focus on this set of creatures, so I've got some more Return from the Grave mechanics, like Call of the Death Dweller. 2 mana to return 1 creature is not as efficient as Call of the Death Dweller, obviously, but it does its job just fine. We've got Revenge on this card as well. I do have a source of white in the Savai Triomes, but that's it. I don't really anticipate casting this ever, pretty much. 6 mana is a lot, and usually you'll have other things you want to do. Typically, because we're playing Castle Locthwain, rather than cast Revenge, I'd rather just use Castle Locthwain to draw another card. So this is the deck. Can do some cool stuff like putting Kroxa back into play with Call or Revival, but that's usually not a great play. It's just an option. I've been having a surprising amount of success with it in the play arena, so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to aim for just like 3 games or so if they go quick. This is not going to be as long as our other episodes. Trying to keep it short and to the point, so since it's a fewer match count, we won't have as much time to see the deck average out and get a few wins here and there, so hopefully it doesn't just bomb, but it's a lot of fun to play. It's pretty straightforward. You play creatures and then you turn them sideways, and kind of whatever happens, you get damage in. Alright, this is not a good hand. Still not a good hand, but more playable. Because we actually have the colors that match our cards. Yeah, let's just get rid of the Rager. I didn't mention it, but this deck is running 20 lands because most of our cards are 1 and 2 mana. It's a little low, but I haven't found it to be a real problem. Obviously he's not going to block here. Edgewall and Keeper is far too valuable to trade with Serrated Scorpion. So Edgewall and Keeper usually indicates Bone Crusher, which is a pretty good card against us. Bone Crusher Giant is, yeah, there's the red. Life Gain. Who authorized this? Yeah, we're just going to turn sideways. I don't expect him to do any trading, unfortunately, so our Revival is useless. But if we get a Mountain, this could be good. These blue-green, yeah, that's fine. Those 2 cards. These blue-green decks, blue-green-red Adventure are pretty standard. Pretty standard ramp Adventure. They play like Beanstalk Giants, you get really big, and then you just can't do anything about them. So I think I'm just going to go all in here. He obviously blocks and kills the Serrated Scorpion. We're just going to put it back into play because we don't have anything else going on. But we still get 4 damage in this turn, which is pretty good. If he doesn't have life gain, then we may still end up getting there. But I do need a Mountain pretty bad. Yeah, Uro is pretty good against us. This deck doesn't have a lot of good options against life gain. It can often push them out of range of what we're doing. Jeez, 3 Innkeepers. That's not good. Okay, so we've got... Yeah, I think we're just going to attack. He can afford to just kind of trade off all the Innkeepers at this point, in my opinion. But I don't know if he'll do that. Yeah, here we go. Double block here. Let the Footlight through. Pretty good. Oh, he's going to let everything. Okay. That makes sense if he's going to... No. He has regret. I'll take 2 points of damage in and 2 more. As long as he doesn't Uro too much, then we might be okay. So I wanted to light up the stage. Help us dig for some more lands. I think he probably should have just gotten rid of his Innkeepers so he has stuff to fuel his Uro. He's gonna make a bunch of flying. Okay. Oh, he's got another one in his hand. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't think we can really keep up with all of this Innkeeper card advantage. Let's see, so I think I pretty clearly just want to do this. At this point, it is not worth attacking, I don't think. Because we're obviously not going to get any damage through it, just going to die to these guys. We'll just use it to chump block and buy ourselves time. A Bastion of Remembrance would go really far for us. Just going to get some lands. A lot of lands. Yeah, Beanstalk Giant Adventure is almost free with Lucky Clover because it puts the lands into play untapped. So you pay basically 1 mana to get 2 lands in. Pretty good. They don't have Trample, then we're kind of okay, but Uro is really the thing that's killing us here. 6 extra health is a little too much. Because, I mean, if it weren't for that, we'd have 2, 3, 4, 5 points of damage on board. 6 down here. I mean, it's pretty good. I don't like relying on him not drawing more Uros, but I think that's what we got to do. Crux is not really going to do anything for us. Yeah, no way to play both of these, and I'll pay 2 life. Play a Dreadhorde Butcher. I think I should have done this the other way around. I don't think it's going to make a big difference, but since I'm asking him to make a choice, I shouldn't have given him the information about the other card in my hand. He's got a discard. He can easily discard a land if he still has one in his hand. Or, yeah, he wouldn't want to discard a land, so we'll probably get something. That's not really relevant. Oh, he pitches a land. Okay. Fine with that. No attacks. Our other option this turn was to swing with a Rager, but I don't think that would have done very much. Like, we can pump it to 5 toughness, or 5 power, so... Oh man. 2 permanents back in my hands. It's gonna take a lot of mana to replay. I'm joking, but it is actually going to keep us from drawing a card next turn. If I don't draw something really spicy next turn, I'm just going to concede. I don't see... And by spicy, I think pretty much I just mean Bastion of Remembrance, I think is the only thing that's going to dig us out of this. Big old Beanstalk. No trample. Not yet, at least. But he's drawing enough cards, he might just be able to Brazen Borrow all of our stuff. I wonder if he's playing Bone Crusher. There we go. It's fine. I mean, it's really good. You should have waited until after combat. We'll just go to his face. Innkeeper would be good, but it's really too late for that. He's drawn enough that he'll continue drawing. This is a trap. It will not block. Oh, it's a Bastion. Alright. Well, let's struggle on, but as long as he's drawing all these cards, he can get his basically his other 2 Uros. He's got... Yeah. So now we have 4, 5, 6, 7 damage on board. As long as he doesn't bounce Bastion, which he can. Escape to the Wilds. You can play all the cards. Alright, there's an Uro. I'm going to concede. This is, we're not going to win this. So, it's just going to take him forever to play as many cards as he wants. Yeah, Uro is the real trick there, and I'll talk about life gain when we go back to the deck after a couple more games. Hard to deal with, not impossible, but the 3 Innkeepers was really more than we could deal with, and we didn't get the chance to kill them. Alright, this looks good. We got both our colors. Turn 2 Dreadhorde is really good when we're on the play. Would have been nicer to be able to Footlight Fiend turn 1, but you don't get everything you want. There's a tap land, we go Butcher, and now I've got a 2/2 that's going to hit for 2. This is really strong. Dreadhorde is significantly worse on the draw when your opponent's going first and usually gets a creature down, but we got a bit lucky. Shouldn't have played that swamp. I'm still not used to playing Light Up the Stage. Because you can get lands with Light Up the Stage, you should play... Oh, it's another Dreadhorde. Alright. You should play Light Up the Stage before playing your land drop so that you can play lands off of the top with it. But it's not that important unless you hit 2. Agonizing Remorse. I don't know what he gets. Bastion and Call are both pretty painful. I'm probably not going to play this Croxa. Oh man. Double Bastion. I think it's too late for him, unless he's got something like Cry the Carnarium's pretty good, but unless he's got that, this is already 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. Alright. He's just gonna take his lumps. Good thing he did it now before I played another Bastion, but, oh man. How hilarious. Oh, I don't know if that's really that good then. Let's just go like this. So Croaks is gonna hit him for another 1 because we got Bastion out. Footlight Fiend is lethal here. So that was fun. Our opponent was just too small. No, my permanent. Alright. I'm back. Good game. Nice and quick. Our opponent stumbled playing some slow lands and we had a very, very quick start. Had he played creatures to trade with the Dreadhorde Butcher, that would have not gone as well as it did. But that's one of the benefits of playing this, it can punish some slow decks. I like it also because it's not bad against board wipes. As you saw, we lost our board and we dealt a lot of damage as a result. Alright, we got both our colors. This looks acceptable. We're about to see the Dreadhorde being a lot worse on turn 2. When our opponent is on the play. Especially if he goes... Oh, yeah. Okay, this deck basically just loses to the Loris deck as well. It's got life gain in it, and the card advantage is pretty bad. We can make an attempt at it. Let's see, which is the best to go for here? I'm just going to go Croxa, because he's going to play removal and I'd rather sacrifice with village rights. So we'll cost him some cards. I guess he might not have Loris. Might not be in his hand. I was kind of assumed when I saw the Hateful that it was, Oh, okay, that's unfortunate. So we can Dreadhorde Butcher here. Oh no, he's gonna get a 2/2. Okay. It's already too late. Croxa was really unfortunate. I haven't seen these Ephemia decks in a while, but it was definitely the wrong play. I'm going to go Tybalt's Rager. He's going to play an enchantment to kill it, because that's how this works. And then we'll Village Rights and kill his Ephemia. Should happen before combat, so... Resolves. got an Archon. Alright. More life gain that we can't deal with. Could Village Rites here. I think this is just done, because we literally can't kill the Archon. So the advantage to going Croxa here is it kills the enchantment in his hand, so Archon doesn't trigger. But if it's removal like I suspect it is, then... yeah, if it's removal then that won't work. We don't even have the 3 mana skewer for Archon. Game's not over, but it's not going well. We'll keep like this. He's gonna gain a bunch of life, but we're not dead yet. Okay. Never mind. Yeah, we're done. Won't spend too much more time on that. We'll play one more and see if we can get a good match out of it. Playing Hateful Eidolon, but not playing any auras. Alright. Sweet. Might get another free win off of Dreadhorde Butcher. Light up the stage, I think it's going to be quite good for us here. Because we need to draw another land, so next turn... Well, I'm not going to play it next turn, because I'm pretty sure second Dreadhorde Butcher is going to be too much for our opponent. Leafkin. Alright. He got us. It's big enough to block. Sorry, I can't block both of them. As long as it doesn't go like Arboreal Grazer. Risen Reef. Okay. This is fine. Okay. So we definitely do have the opportunity to light up the stage. And that's definitely what we're going to do. It's not going to block because Risen Reef is too good of a card. I think he'll regret that, though. Alright, we gotta land and skewer the critics. He'll definitely regret it then. We'll go to this, because Risen Reef is usually how decks accelerate out of control. Let's just not give it to him. That removes a blocker for these as well. And then we'll just play a Rager. Uro is still pretty good against us right here. Gaining life is always a problem. But Call of the Deathlord is going to make this hard for him to recover from. Let's go! Alright. Yeah, I like it. So he can't kill our Dreadhorde Butchers now, because he's too low on life. Let's just, I mean, he can't board life. I think this is a lost cause. Double Dreadhorde off the starts, too. Yep, that's too much. We didn't really see any fancy shenanigans, but, I think it's pretty clear that our main problem here is, decks that gain life. So let's look, is there anything we can do about that? First off, I forgot to put this in the sideboard for showing you guys, but... Yeah, it's Tibalt, isn't it? With an I. I have been considering Tibalt, but life gain hadn't been a problem enough so far. I mean, you lose to it, but you always lose to some matchups. I wasn't running a significant amount of life gain decks, but I think it's probably worth considering and playing around with Tibalt. As long as the player opponents can't gain life, in order to kill him, they have to attack you, which gets you free attacks in at them, so it's like a win-win, and he makes devils that deal damage to your opponent when they die, so It's exactly kind of a card that fits in this deck, so it's probably worth finding room. Right off the bat, I think I would suggest just putting him in an over revival, probably 3. I don't know what I would cut though. Probably a Kroxa. Like I was saying earlier, revival and Kroxa are not really fundamental to how the deck works, so you can be justified for taking them out. So this helps a lot against life gain. Uro's not going to be doing anything anymore. Shuts off life gain strategies. I ran into some Griffin Airy decks, the white enchantment, where when you gain 3 life at the end of your turn, you get a 2/2 flyer. I was doing pretty well against it because we had Castle Embereth in, so all of our 1/1s could actually trade with their flyers. But eventually it kind of overwhelmed me. But stayed in the game pretty well, and if I had Tybalt, it would have been just game over. Other options, though, I think Chandra is worth trying out. She is a pretty solid 3 planeswalker as well, and she is going to basically make 2/2s for you, but the bigger upside for her is she is another copy of Call of the Death Dweller if you've already played one. You can cast instant or sorcery from your graveyard. You still have to pay for it, so there's no shenanigans. You don't just get to like play her and then cast Call and then still have a planeswalker in play, but yeah, she's another copy of Call of the Death Dweller to get back Dread Hordes and Tybalt's Ragers. And when you're not doing that, you're just making 2/2 or 1/1s that get into your opponent for free damage. So I like it. Good in any deck you're going to attack with, and it combos with Castle Embereth well. Pumping those 1/1s to 2/2s is pretty, or 2/1s is pretty sweet. We've got Heartfire. If you ever need more reach, this is another option over Skewer the Critics. Sometimes you will find that they are not... You just need to kill one of your creatures. I've got Village Rites in here to sacrifice it, but you're like, I've got a Death Touch Footlight Fiend that I really need to sacrifice to deal with this big Baneslayer Angel or something. So you can run more sacrifice effects for that. It'll deal 4 damage to their face, and if you got a Death Touching or a ping that you need to get off, it'll do that for you to remove like a blocker or something. Weaponize the Monster is another option. I've tried running this card in a lot of other decks and haven't had a lot of success. I think it's just too expensive, but we do have a lot of fodder for it. So it's probably not bad. Like that last game, it could have flung our Dreadhorde Butchers really efficiently instead of just playing 2 more Tybalt's Ragers, which was also a really good play. Like those were also lethal, so I mean they were fine. Weaponize the Monsters is probably overkill in this deck, but it's probably pretty fun. I think Runaway Steamkin's probably a better option over Kroxa. It is just going to get bigger and more deadly. Good fuel for Tybalt's Ragers as well. Basically, a 2-mana 4/4 is really obnoxious and hard to deal with. And you can put it back into play with Call of the Death Dweller or Revival if you're still running Revival. But I don't think you need the red mana from it, so it's just a 2-mana 4/4. Hard to say. I haven't really tested it. It's one that I was like, this should probably go in, but I'm still running Kroxa, so I don't know. But it's a strong card, and there's enough red spells in the deck to justify it, so it's a good card. And finally, Find is going to give you a little bit more reach on creatures. It's like a call in that it gives you 2 creatures back, but you still have to cast them. So it's a little more expensive than Call of the Death Dweller, but it's going to give you a little more advantage than Revival does. So if you're looking for an option that's slower than Revival, but a little more powerful, this will do it. And I think you'll get more use out of Finality than you will of Revenge. You can just swap the Savai Triumphs for the Indra Triumphs, the ones that add green instead of... Oh no, that's white, so that would hurt your mana base a little more. Yeah, I don't think I would worry about Finality. 2+1/+1 counters isn't going to save any of your creatures except a Dreadhorde Butcher, which is hilarious on that one. But then all creatures get -4/-4. That'll kill your stuff, which is cool. But your Dreadhorde Butchers won't deal any damage because they'll be negative toughness and power. So I think it's a bit of a trade-off. Basically, if Revival's not cutting it for you, you can aim for Find instead. And obviously, I would run more than 1 Castle Embereth. I just didn't have it, and it wasn't crucial to the deck. The deck still basically functions without Castle Embereth, but I think you'd benefit from having more if you have more. So that's the deck. I have a lot of fun playing this one. It's a good version of this deck I've been trying with a couple different color combinations. Basically, when I saw Serrated Scorpion, I was like, yeah, I want to get this into play as much as possible. and it's a lot of fun. Hard for your opponents to deal with, and it's pretty quick games usually, so it's a good one to try and grind with. So I will have another deck for you next week. You guys may have seen we're cutting the draft segments into 2 or 3 episodes. I'm planning on doing that in the future. Hopefully I'll have it up on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Just depends on when I get a chance to sit down and record a draft. But yeah, we'll do shorter episodes. If you have opinions about the length of them, please leave us feedback in the comments section. Like, hey, no, shorter episodes are dumb, or yeah, this is great. I'd like even shorter episodes, or whatever. If you have deck ideas, leave them there, and I'll probably try them out. And we'll see you guys next week.